I'm looking for the share my screen here. For some reason, I'm not seeing that. There it is. I'm gonna move it over. There we go. All right, good morning. I'm Rhonda Burkhart with HCC, and today we are doing a webinar discussing the accounts receivable module. This is something that a couple of districts have taken advantage of, but not everyone. So I thought it would be good to do a refresh and kind of a reminder that this option is available. There's no extra cost. It's just a module that we would activate within your districts, and we'll kind of do an overview of how you set things up with the customers and the accounts and all that. But coming up on the calendar, after this webinar, on April 17th, Tanya will be hosting a webinar about new contract and salary notices. And then on April 23rd, we'll be doing a roundtable for both USAS and USPS. So we're looking forward to those coming up. So, and of course, May, I mean, we're going right through the year, and it's almost time to discuss the fiscal year end here. It's just kind of just rolling forward here on this first day of spring. So we'll go ahead and just do a little overview. So we're recording this at the moment, and that will be located on the HCC training recording, and that will be featured right below this HCC recording topics. So right above, we'll put it right above the calendar year end recording, which we did last December. So at school, that will be located. We'll also be doing some work in the demo instance for USAS. And just an update for people who weren't aware, you can use this for testing, just trying some things out. Maybe I don't know how this scenario will work, but I'd like to test it out. Just to let you know, the date on that is set back to August 2021. So the date is older, but just kind of keep in mind as you do your work in that, you know, some things aren't quite, you know, it's not going to look like your district. If you would like to have something to test out with your district's information, we can create a test instance for that. But for today's work, we'll be using this USAS demo, and then the username will be admin, and then the password had to be updated because there was a length requirement. It had to be 8 characters or more long. So I made it Ohio 2025 exclamation point. So we'll go ahead and open that up. Okay. So we'll be doing, so you can see here, the accounts receivable module is that this is something that we would set up for you and get that set up. There's also some other things in the configuration that we would also set up. And that would be your billing setup. So right now I have that set up from Rhonda. Tanya's going to get a copy, and then you can put whatever you would like in the body of that. I just put attached is your billing from ABC local school district. Please remember according to the terms of billing. Thank you. And you can also do, there are some customizations. So I used Finneytown as an example. All I did with this was, you'll see it's kind of a very, it's kind of very generic looking, and I added the school district, kind of the header that would go on top of like stationery, or a lot of those like your direct deposit notices have those. So if you elected to do that, so You can do the same thing on the billing and the payment receipts that come out. So that is an option. It's a great option to have. Makes it look more official, more professional for those notifications going out. So that is one thing that we would customize here. And then there is, let's see, the accounts receivable. Okay, that's initialized. And then we'd also make sure that the email going out, that configuration is customized there. We would customize that to look like this is who it's coming from. So make sure that's all set up correctly. It should be already. So that's just the initial setup. So go ahead and start going over this. All right. So back in December, SSDT did an overview of this, and that's kind of what gave me the idea. As soon as we were done with the calendar year end, that it would be nice to revisit this as well. So I'm giving them, this is their presentation. And I just, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So save me setting one up as well. So in the accounts receivable, it allows you to create invoices, send those out. You can either print them, you can actually email them according to how you set up your customers, which is nice. It saves some postage, save your district a little money, and add this extra little feature to your software. It's very nice and convenient there. As I said, it's not visible currently, but then we can set that up. Also, there is documentation in the wiki. That's like where you would normally go to look at that. So in here with, you could go right in here on the HCC webpage in your USAS. And then the accounts receivable is right here, and it has the different sections where you can go to look up information, and that we can maybe like just search up here, or you can do a Control F and search directly on the page. So that's available as well. All right. All right, so there are different things with roles. Basically, they have customized AR manager standard and read-only roles. Now, if you have a USAS manager role, then you will be able to, it's kind of like that grants you to pretty much everything. So you'd be able to do the AR as well, if you have that USAS manager role. If you have USAS standard, we'll need to look at that. Again, it's a good thing to look at. It may or may not allow you to do some things like when you post a payment in AR, it will also post the transaction receipt. But then again, we also need to look at that, as we go through. We'll see who is doing what in the district and are additional permissions needed. Okay, there's the drop down for what we have for the AR menu. There's an AR ledger query, which is similar to EIEIO Spark. So this is also, think of it similar to the activity ledger query for payables. So there's an AR version of that. There's where you create your billing, credits for overpayment. Those will appeal under credits, and credits you can either refund that. To refund it, you actually have, it has to be set up as a vendor as well as a customer in AR. And then there's customers. You can set those up as just in the AR module, or if they're already in vendor, then you can pull that over. You can just look that up and set that up in the AR module. It makes it nice and easy, but you have to do those one by one, I believe. And then ledger code, that's more like the type of thing you're billing for. Is it transportation? Is it a field trip? You know, what is it a room rental that you're doing? So that's your ledger codes. And your payment locations, usually I think districts pretty much just have the district office, but if you want to set up something like the athletic director's office, you know, if it's something like that, maybe a pay to play or something, then you could set that up as well if you desire. Okay, and then payments is where you receive that in, and that'll receive it on the AR side. And then if your role allows, it will also post it as a receipt. So you kind of get two birds for one stone, which is really nice. All right, customer, I think we know what a customer is. We're just pointing out here, you can either do create a vendor customer and just pull that over from the payable side, or you can just create a single AR customer. Okay, if you want to use that same vendor, as we said, you can just pull it in this little section here. There's either a drop down, or you can just click in this blank and then start typing to bring it up. And it will use the same vendor number as the customer number, which is convenient. If it's just a customer that isn't a vendor, then it will start numbering them. I think it starts at about 1001, 1001, 1002, and it keeps going that way. Okay. There is an option if you're creating the customer, you can do customer type if it's a customer, employee, or student. Those are the options there. Also, you can see the email option right there for that's nice for emailing. And then there's rules, of course, that apply. And this one, it's mandatory, and you cannot delete any customers that have existing transactions. All right, so let's take a break from this for the moment, and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And so here we are under accounts receivable. So we'll just kind of start looking down that. There's that AR ledger query. So it's similar to what we have over on the transaction side for activity ledger query. So the activity ledger query is the payable side, and the AR query is on the receivable side. Right there. The first thing you will do is you'll need to set up your customers. You'll need to set up your ledger code. Review your payment location if you would like any additional payment locations. So those are the first items that you'll need to set up. So we have a couple of examples here that are already set up. And setting up your grid, of course, is always important. I like to have the email address on here. Again, you can use your more to set that up. I made sure under the email dropdown, my email address was there. As a district, I want to save as much money as I can, and that includes sending out the billings just by email. So I'll make sure that's all set up. So you can tell, like, a couple of these were set up. They just were brought over from the vendor side, and there's active there. Make sure your email is there, and then fill in your address and all that for printing on there. Okay. And then this one I actually set up myself. So that one is just a customer. It's active. I typed in the email address. I typed in the address there. So it's pretty Yeah, just setting up your customer, kind of similar to the vendor's setup too. The next thing you'll want to do is set up ledger code. So under here, like I have an auditorium. One thing with the code length, it has to be 15 characters or less. So, and then the description can have a little bit more. And then you can also populate how many days until this type of invoice is due. And when you start doing the billings, it'll pop in, it'll automatically pop in the due date that the payment's due. So let's maybe do a create here. Maybe do a pay to play. And maybe that's doing, we'll just say 20 days. That's pretty easy. And then you save that, and then that's an option right there. Okay. So pretty easy to set that up. And then your payment location. So I just left that at the school. If you have two of them or more, the default payment location, you'll see further in the slideshow deck that if it's the default payment location, you are not allowed to delete that. You could delete something that isn't marked as a payment default location. Also, I believe if you do not select anything, it will use what is in the core organization. Here, it'll just pull that information as the payment location. All right. So go back to our slideshow here. Just losing where I'm at. Okay, so here's our ledger code that we discussed. And we discussed the payment location. That fact that you can have multiple locations, but only one default. And then we talked about not being able to delete the default payment location. That's a mandatory rule. So then you would be creating your billings. They have a couple of nice features. You can, create, edit, delete. You can clone. So I've seen districts where maybe they rent a room out monthly, and then they can just take that initial bill and then just clone it. And they've done it like through the rest of the year. That's a nice feature right there. And again, we talked about the customizable billing form that we have, and the fact that you can email them, and then you can apply payments from that screen. And rules for billing. They have a couple of different ones that you kind of have to look over to the other side. Remember, we're a cash-based organization. So with this, you can actually, it's not mandatory that you can't bill in a prior fiscal year, that fiscal year error, or the posting period. It's not mandatory that you cannot do that. You might want to just set the warning just to, make yourself realize, oh, okay, well, maybe I put that in last month as opposed to this month, or, I want to create all those billings for that room at one time, and I want to put those extra dates on there, but, that's easy for me to get all of that done and just clone those all at once. for the entire year, and the system will let you do that. It's a nice feature. Your billing number will auto assign. And again, I think it starts at like 1001 and goes up from there. And as we talked about, the dates are flexible. When you look for your customer, when you create a billing, then you can just start typing it in. You can use the number, and then also the wildcards are valid. So you could say, oh, I'm looking for, maybe I've got like a lawn care service or something, I don't know. But, you know, you could just throw the percent and then whatever word you want, and then the N percent, and it'll find a customer name with any, you know, that whatever you typed in there in any part. And you have to have a payment location in there. So, right. The due date, which is really handy, will auto fill for what you have in the terms for that type of ledger code. So when you would fill in the service date and the amount and the account. All right, let's go over to, we'll create one, to billing. And we'll just create. Here we go. Here's our code. There's our drop down from the ones that we've created. And so maybe we're going to do a room rental and see the billings grayed out. So you can't, that's going to auto populate. As you saw, we have in these the default August 21st or August of 21. So we'll just pop that in there. We'll just change that date. And then you'll see the due date will change according to the code that we used here. So just watch this. Okay, so see that updated to whatever it was, 20 or 15 days or something. So, and then our customer, you can drop down, or, you know, we can use our, okay. So see that are automatically filtered down to what we wanted. And our payment location here. Our due date's in there, that auto-filled. If it needs to be attention to anyone in particular, you can fill that in if you want. And then down here, the window's a little large, but then you can add your item here. Put in your service date. We'll just add in, say, same date. And then can tab or click in the space. I don't know. Room 100. 20, 21. And you'll just pay it's $100. And I'm just going to throw in a code here. We'll just throw in something there. Put in whatever account that is, and then you can save that. And there you go. Now, from here, you can print it out. You can also clone. You can edit if needed. For editing, you will need to, it can't have a payment against it. So just, it's kind of like a PO in that way, that you can't edit. You can amend the PO, you know, but you can't edit it. Got a PO against it. You could clone this. Say, oh, I want to do this for the next week. You can just clone this. And then some, you know, some of those are all. So again, we have to change the date to something in the period. The due date automatically populate, but all that other stuff is in there. And, you know, basically all I have to do is change the date here. And then I just need to change that and then I can save it again. It makes it pretty easy when you clone things. So say we want to print that. You can XML it. That's an option. And then PDF, that's an option. So there's a default. I'm going to show you the difference with these. You print that out, the default here. We take a look at that. So you can see how that looks pretty generic. The school district name is in the top left corner there on their generic format. You know, it's got your name of your organization and, you know, the remit to address and all that, and the description of what it is and how much. If you want to make it look a little better than that, we can do a custom format. Makes it look a little more professional. So I use Finneytown as an example here. I just, this is none of Finneytown's information, of course, it's just, I just put the header at the top. So if we do it this way, then that makes it look a little more official, a little more professional. I kind of move some things over, just, you know, if we can even move this whole section down, or however you want to do that. We have those options to customize the form in that way. So that is an option, and I like that option. Okay, and then say time goes on and we come along and we want to apply payment. So you can either do it from the billing page, or you can do it from the payment option. So this one we'll do from the billing. We can look up our bill. Okay, I've got a check for that. And again, it will assign the number here. And we'll just say check 1001. Actually, I want to 29 cents. Okay, and just say they're paying their $100. And so one thing to note is this little tiny generate receipt. So if you don't want it to generate a receipt, you would uncheck that. Okay. If you do want to generate a receipt, kill two birds with one stone. I like that option. You can do that. So let me go ahead and again change. We'll just say they paid it on this date. Put in the date they paid it, take it to the bank. Here's their check number. Make sure they paid the 100, and then we're going to save that. Okay, and then you can print the receipt. So again, we have the generic format here. Let's show you the option. Options are good. And so here again, it's a very generic looking receipt. I customize this. And again, use the Finneytown option just to give it a different look, a different feel, more professional. And here we go. So, and it's like, oh, you know, maybe I don't like this receipt up here like this. You know, we can move that around. Maybe, you know, maybe we don't need that at the top because we've got this over here that says receipt. You know, we can get rid of that. We can move it around. We can add things. We can add some verbiage at the bottom, you know, whatever you would like. But the basic information is there for that receipt. And then, since we had it marked that first it's going to appear under the payment. So that appeared right here. You can see that, and it has that check number. but it also killing two birds with one stone. So it also appeared right here, right there. So you have the payment under the AR module. You also have the receipt under the transaction. So killing two birds with one stone. Great. All right. So if you do have one where you have a credit, so I customized this grid for the billing. So say, for example, you know, if somebody overpaid, like for example on this one. So they overpaid and you have a credit. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds on this, but you can go in and apply a credit to an existing invoice. So, so he's got like 100 remaining. Let's see if he's got any credits here. Under the credit. Aha, they do have a credit, customer 1002. If I can add the name of the customer, we can. That also helps. We'll customize our grid here. All right. All right. Maybe we'll put it right over by the customer number. That makes sense. All right. So at one point in time, they overpaid by 200. They've applied 100 and they have 100 remaining. So you can either, if you check there, you'll notice that refund credits comes up. So if they don't have any remaining invoices to apply it to, then you can refund it here. Or the other option is to, so you can create a refund here, or the other option is to go into their billing. And you can, let's see, remaining amount right here. So we could apply it to this manage credits. And so you could apply the credit here and say, I want to apply this here, put in your amount. I want to put in my $100 and apply it there and pay it that way. Okay. So now that invoice is all paid for, remaining amount is 0. So the total items were 400. We've got 400 paid either by the credit here and here or by a check right there and there. So that's a nice way to do that. So I don't think we really had, I kind of went through everything on the grid kind of as the overview. I don't think there was too much left in the slideshow that I did. I like the customizations for the two, the billing and the payment. That's nice. I like the fact that when you apply payment, it can also apply the, it'll create the receipt automatically. That's killing two birds with one stone, and that's great. You know, you just have to make sure that whoever is doing the process has that ability to create the receipt. So if they have USAS standard, that's not going to do it. But if they have USAS manager, it will. Or we could use USAS standard and then add that enabled right to them. We went over customizing the email notification on that. Emailing Emailing. That's something we need to talk about. So if you have your billings created, so you can see right now the email is grayed out and also your apply payments is grayed out. So you can, let's see, you've got to remain that. So this looks like a recent one. Okay. Then you can click it. As soon as you click it, everything lights up and you can email that. And so again, it's going to show you when we set up that configuration, it came from me. Tanya is copied. It's going to the email address that's in the customer record. And then it has the default as we've set that up in the configuration. It does not allow you to customize each invoice that you're sending, each billing that you're sending. And then you would just hit the send. You would have to go back and change that configuration if you wanted everybody to be, individualized. So this is more like a generalized one like you would do for like the direct deposit. We do that. Now it's a little bit different if you select two that are, so maybe we want to do this and that. So you can send multiple at the same time. And if you wanted to do that, it doesn't, because those are two different emails, it's not going to give that email in there because you're two different ones going to different places. So it does have the Rhonda, the Tanya, and that, and then you would hit the send. So I like the fact that the email is going to save you some time and some money and some resources. But I think it offers a lot. So I think the big thing is that you'll need to set up your customers. If they're vendors, it's very easy to do. You have to set up your ledger codes and just your payment locations. But after you have those set up, then it's fairly easy to just kind of keep it rolling. So I think it's a great add-on. It's free. It's included. You're already paying for it. It's an added function in the software that just a couple districts have taken advantage of currently. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing right now. There is nothing in the chat. And I was just wondering, go ahead and unmute yourself if you have any other questions regarding this module.
Rhonda,
Yes.
is there when you do the email, does it
Mm-hmm.
actually pull like that Finneytown? Does it just look like a plain invoice, or can you actually, because I didn't see when you hit email that it changed the default. Like when you print it, you can change it to
Okay.
the, I was wondering if it's going to show that you have a customized.
That is good to check. I'll check that out. And I don't have your name. I just have like a very vague phone number. So,
Oh, sorry. This is Amy Klosterman. I don't know from Finneytown.
okay. Yeah, it just says
I don't know. I
5137
had a
and then
call
it
on
has
my phone
oh,
because we don't have, yeah, I don't know. I called on my phone and then I
okay.
have you on my screen. So one's muted and I just unmuted my phone. So, because I can't talk in
It
my
just has,
computer.
so I've got your voice is coming through the phone, yeah. And it just has a vague phone number. Okay, so when your email, can you customize
Yeah, I just was wondering if it's
the
going to
billing?
show yeah, the billing. Like if it's just going to be like, you went to all that trouble to making our logo and then
Right.
when you email it, it's just going to be the generic. So I
Right,
think, I don't know. I
right.
didn't see it. I didn't see when you did that, clicked it, there was an option. So.
Yeah, it didn't say, and it might be the next. Yeah, I think it just says it's, where it's emailing to. I'll check that and see, because I
Okay.
didn't want to hit the next step and have it go out into, somewhere,
Right. I get it.
without kind of somebody might get it. I don't know if they have that email. So I'll research that and I'll get back with you.
All
Good
right.
question.
Thanks.
Okay. Are there any other questions about the accounts receivable module? All right. If this is something that you would like to pursue, it would be good timing to do that, and we can get that set up fairly easy. As I said, the big thing is putting in the customers there. Um, so let me see if there's an import. There is an import function for that, where you could load those in, most likely in the CSV format. That would help a lot to get that set up quickly. So if you were interested in doing that, then we could use that to help you get those customers set up and get that started as soon as possible. The other items, usually there isn't as much to set up there, but it's like the volume of customers if you have a lot that you use. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this posted on our website in the usual place, as I noticed. And thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.